So this is the brushing your teeth mobility routine. I call it this. It's just one that you can do really every day that will always help the mobility of the hips and the lower back. It takes 10 minutes. You can do it while you're watching TV, pretty much anywhere. So I'm going to talk you through it now. The first stretch is a seated forward bend. When you're tight especially, keeping the knees a little bit more bent is better. It'll just feel less neural, so it won't pull behind the back of the knees. So fold forward until you start to feel a stretch down the back of the hamstring. If you're particularly tight, you might feel the calves as well. If you lack flexibility and you struggle even to do this, you can grab a towel around the feet, or you can simply reach forward and grab onto your toes. Fold the head forward slightly as well. If it feels like it is too intense for you, lifting the head up will make it less strong. And then just settle into a breath of a little slower than you normally breathe, ideally in through the nose and out through the nose. And stay here for 1 to 2 minutes. The other thing you can play around with is to start to straighten one leg at a time. If you're like me and don't like to sit dead still in one position for too long, just mentally making it more interesting, or if you prefer the hold, simply stay in the hold. The next stretch, then you're going to come into a hip flexor stretch. So drop your right leg out, the left knee comes behind the left heel. Sit up tall and walk the body around until you feel a stretch through the front of the hip and the front of the thigh. For some people, you might find you feel the stretch more as you lower down. So just find the angle that gives you the best stretch here. Inhale, ease the stretch off slightly, and as you exhale, you can take a little bit more stretch. And hold for a minute. Then fold straight forward over the front leg to stretch into the glute. You should feel it into the right glute here. Keeping the spine as straight as possible. If you're really tight, of course, letting the spine fold over as well is fine, as long as you're feeling a stretch into the right area. And then start to sweep around a little, finding the angle or the position that gives you the best stretch into the glute. Then repeat on the other side, switching to here for the hip flexor stretch and here for the glute stretch. This is the most active stretch you're now going to come into. Coming into a deep squat. The wider the feet are, the easier it's going to be. And then from there, just sit down into a squat position. If you're more flexible, you can bring the elbows onto the inside of the legs to push the legs outwards, stretching the adductors. And you're going to sit in this position, feeling the stretch all around the hips for a minute or two. If you're too tight to get into that position, the option that you can do is a seated butterfly stretch, feet together, and use the hands, the elbows to bring the knees downwards. Once you've come out of that stretch, we transition into the upper body, starting with some thread the needles. So come onto all fours and then reach the arm down as far as you can and alternate. Each time you should feel you can reach a little further. Let the whole upper body rotate. And then into a cobra. Coming down onto the ground using the hands to lift up the chest. You should feel a stretch either through the abdominals, through the front of the chest, and you should feel the neck extensor muscles engage to lift you up. If you get any back pain, stay lower, squeeze the glutes and don't overextend. And then finally, coming into a seated position, take some neck circles. Make as big a circle as you can with the neck. In both directions. And that's a daily routine that you can do each day, and you'll feel the mobility around the hips, the back, shoulders and the neck will start to improve over the next few weeks when done consistently.